Brody's pick rate has been rising lately due to his consecutive buffs, and more players are starting to notice it. And Brody has been getting a lot of requests for a guide lately, so I won't just make a simple one, I'll also show you how to dominate as Brody. Before anything else, you need to understand how Brody's skills work, especially his unique passive that directly affects his basic attacks. His basic attacks don't work like most marksmen who just keep spamming fast auto attacks. Everyone knows that Brody can move while winding up his basic attacks, but the downside is they're slower, with a longer animation and lower attack speed. It's not clearly stated in the skill description how much attack speed Brody actually benefits from, but according to the MLBB wiki, Brody's basic attack interval is 50% of his total attack speed, meaning Brody can only gain 50% of the attack speed from items and emblems. That's why the Trinity build isn't ideal for him. This is the normal attack speed you should expect from a Trinity build. And about the bonus damage from his passive that doesn't crit, let's clarify it for better understanding. Each of Brody's basic attacks deals 45 times hero level, plus 140% total physical attack. The part that doesn't crit is the 45 times hero level, since it's fixed per level. But the 140% total physical attack can definitely crit, which is why we still see Brody's basic attacks dealing critical damage. Each of Brody's basic attacks inflicts 1 stack of Abyss Mark on the enemy, increasing his damage against that target by 5% and boosting his movement speed by 5% per stack, up to a maximum of 4 stacks. Aside from that, each basic attack also increases Brody's movement speed by 30%, which rapidly decays within 1.2 seconds. And his Abyss Mark doesn't work on jungle monsters, which makes sense because it would be too broken if it did, and Brody could even be played as a jungler. His first skill, on the other hand, works like a quicker version of his basic attack and also applies 1 stack of Abyss Mark. The tricky part is, the more enemies it hits, the more damage and Abyss Mark stacks are received by the enemies behind the first target. It's really useful during the laning phase for harassing your lane opponent. Meanwhile, Brody's skill 2 also applies 1 stack of Abyss Mark. And I know a lot of you are already familiar with this trick on his skill 2, where you cast skill 1 right before jumping away to make the combo much faster. But you'll need to be at least level 4 with boots before you can pull this off. But in certain situations, you don't need to use the joystick to maintain the distance gap. That way, even if they flicker, you can still catch up. This is because they usually flicker in the opposite direction of your jump, making it easier for them to run away. Meanwhile, Brody's ultimate damage depends on the number of stacks and the target's lost HP. The lower the target's HP, and the more stacks there are, the stronger the damage. If your Brody doesn't farm well in the early game, 4 stacks is the way to maximize the damage on your ult. But if you snowball, 1 to 2 stacks will be enough. For the item and emblem setup, and what combos to use, I'll give you different scenarios in a real game. I really wanted to test if Brody could keep up with Granger, and since Granger is always banned, it took me a few days to finally make this video. We're using the Assassin emblem here, with Master Assassin to match Granger in 1 versus 1 fight, and Quantum Charge for the extra sustain. I'm building Blade of Heptaseas first in this match, just to test if it works well as a first item for Brody against a Granger. And you can't deny how strong Granger is in the laning phase. I honestly think a good Granger can easily beat a Brody, but of course, it still depends on how skilled the Granger player is. One laning tip for gold laners: map awareness is extremely important. The moment the enemy jungler or mid-support duo goes missing on the map, you need to play it safe or move closer to your tower. Marksmen are squishy in the early game and very easy to pick off. I already sensed that Harley was coming, but I didn't back off because I didn't want to waste an entire wave. But yeah, I ended up dying for it. At this point, I was already at a disadvantage. Good thing our mage and support rotated to my lane so I could recover a bit.
For the non-stopping time.
An enemy has been slain. You have slain an enemy.
This Selena really tried to escape by using all her marks. Nice try though. So after buying Heptaseas, let's see if we can take down Granger. By the way, I'm using manual targeting in the settings, because every basic attack from Brody is very important. If you don't want to make the same mistake that I did, once you've locked onto a target, avoid pressing the basic attack button again, or it might switch to a different enemy if your main target moves away. That was a wasted opportunity. That basic attack was supposed to proc Heptaseas, then be followed up with skill 1 and ult. Even if he didn't die, he would have been forced to back because he'd be low. Because of that misplay, we ended up dying. Now you know what to do next time. It probably would have been better if we built Rose Gold Meteor instead of Heptaseas, especially since their roam is Selena and their mage is Sicilian. We'd also likely be able to keep up better with Granger's aggression. And we almost forgot about this, Harley. At least we managed to get the crab. After pushing the gold lane, it's a good idea to help in teamfights in other lanes, because as the gold laner, you have the gold advantage, resulting in higher impact during fights. Brody also deals massive damage once he builds Heptaseas. Positioning is the key here, since you need to trigger Heptaseas' passive for that bonus ambush damage.
Feel what
Although we had a rough early game, we managed to recover, and it really helped that my teammates were consistently supporting me. You might have noticed I still built Skypiercer, even though it was a bit late. That's because it fits Brody's skills so well.
doesn't grant you peace. Feel what I feel.
And also, this is the perfect time to kill and build up stacks for your Piercer, because once Brody has his items, his damage can easily erase any hero. We managed to dominate the late game, but the early stages were far from ideal. So, we're going to give it another shot against Granger, but this time we're going to prioritize buying Rose Gold first. I was hoping for a 1 versus 1 with Granger in the lane, but the problem is that Selena keeps coming here, which forces our roams to respond. And to my surprise, it's Chang'e who's roaming.
No one does.
First blood.
If only happiness could last.
You have been
I'm just trying to help, but this Selena is really annoying. I should ban her next time.
Consumes me.
Now that I've already bought Rose Gold, let's see if it's better compared to Heptaseas.
Oblivion doesn't grant you peace.
You have slain an enemy.
I must say, Rose Gold Meteor is definitely better. It's a huge help, especially when there's always someone ganking your lane. So, if you're up against Granger or any other meta gold laner, it's definitely better to build Rose Gold over damage items or Malefic Gun if you want to survive in the gold lane. For Brody's skill, 2 tips. You can use it on minions to close the gap and get closer to your target. These are the first 4 items I built in this game, and I also tried skipping Skypiercer, especially when the lane's tough, and it seems to work just fine. Oh wow, even I was surprised by that damage. Just skill 1 and ultimate, and Granger melted right away. So never let a Brody get ahead. That's how dangerous he becomes once he snowballs in lane. Even the enemy's vengeance couldn't do anything, because Brody can really sustain and dish out a ton of damage at the same time. Since I was already snowballing, I went for Queen's Wings to avoid getting burst down by Karina, and the timing of the purchase was absolutely perfect. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below.
If only happiness could last. Feel what I feel.